Hi, everybody. I'm excited to talk somewhat about Pamina and in the magic flute of Mozart's magic flute today. Sorry, still like getting sorted here. I'm on a struggle bus to find the setup today because I forget just how much sun pours into my studio this time of the afternoon. So I'm all disorganized and turned around. Okay, so since in the thralls of excitement about Zauberflöte, decided to do this yesterday, I remembered that I did talk about Archivfils before, and I just kind of went and found that video. It was very early on in the series when I started doing these things, but I will link to that somewhere when I post this video. So I'm not going to spend all that much time on Archivfils, which works great for me because what I was so excited about in the last 2 days working on this opera is really the rest of Pamina. And so it's not a long roll. I think I once just kind of from cover to cover sang through it with the singer, and it was like 15 or 16 minutes high. So it's not long, and I won't spend a lot of time talking about everything. The scene that I'm most excited about is the scene with the Drei Knaben. And so what I mostly want to kind of think about is how Pamina, or a singer in general in Mozart, can ask for rubato, can bring their own feeling of the shape of the music into a performance that these days are conducted, right? So this, I think, is as much for like my young conducting friends as it is for my singer friends to kind of open our eyes or into the scores, peer deeply into the score and see what Mozart is trying to tell us about when the singer should feel free, right? So the opening of Pamina is the trio. So I'm in Berenreiter. I'm on page 64. So all of this session is really going to be based on looking at what's happening in the orchestra and deducing from that how much freedom the singer might have to shape, to sing what in the bel canto era would be really written col canto or a piacere, and how is Mozart showing us that by changing his accompaniment. And I've just been so enthralled by exploring that. So on page 64, the first time we see that is bar 9, when the accompaniment stop. So we're in this like duet moment with Monastatos. Yeah, this, and this, the rhythm, the accompaniment is right. So there is obviously, this is like rhythmic moving forward. Verloren ist dein Leben, but then, right? So it's the first moment when the music is like stopping. The accompaniment is stopping, allowing the Pamina moment to sing, Der Tod macht mich nicht beben. Yeah, and then we are beben, which is kind of like recitative like chords, right? Then, the music moves again. It starts moving, hey, Cass. It starts moving again, but again, the accompaniment is different. What a genius Mozart is, right? It's like you don't need no subtext when you're dealing with Mozart. The subtext is all in the accompaniment, yeah? So when you get to Der Tod macht mich nicht beben, yeah, and if you're a conductor, try so hard to not go Tod macht mich nicht, yeah, don't just beat through it. The music that you are playing in the orchestra is making a hiatus, is making a breathing moment so that the singer can really get this text out. Der Tod macht mich nicht beben, nur meine Mutter. Then sweeter, more legato, because the harmony is telling us, the accompaniment is telling us, hi, it's good to see. Right. simple, beautiful phrase at the end, yeah? So, when we get then to monostatos, dum, 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 dum. Olas, again, like not just in tempo. I just saw a flute not so long ago, and what an amazing piece it is. But so often it just kind of clicks along because we're living in a time where people did not write in the score, here you should take time or take a breath or whatever, right? And again, it's so important because the singers were dictating how they wanted to sing it from the stage. It wasn't dictated in the pit. So how is the music different if we take a split second to breathe before "O lass mich lieber sterben am bar Abi to 22 monostatos rhythm"? Does that mean we need yes, I will absolutely share it later. I'm happy you're singing, Pamina. Fantastic. So how can a singer try to get that? By kind of showing, or asking the conductor, can I have a little moment, yeah? To really set up this music. Oh, lass mich lieber sterben, ich is free. How do we know it's free? The orchestra stops creating freedom. When Mozart gives you freedom, take it, yeah? Non fort, and so on. That's the opening of Pamina. With these, so for me, the most important thing, not just clicking along in bars 9 and 24, and then in bar Abi to 22, really working for the breath after mein Hass soll dich verderben. Oh, lass, yeah? Does that take a little more concentration from the orchestra? Yes, and they will play better for it, not to just pop 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 pom pom pom, yum pom pom pom. Yeah, not just on. Okay, next thing of Pamina is page 70, which is by Menon. Of course, famous. We talked about Mozart ornamentation. I will post that also somewhere. It's on Instagram. I did 4 sessions about ornamentation in Mozart, and one of the things that I did not talk about is how by Menon, Mozart is showing ornamentation of his own music. Yeah. So also what we talked about. What we did talk about in that session is the written out portamento, and we have so the fact that this 2 G's, 2 E flats really is the classic writing out of the portamento. Sorry, not by sorry, my voice is super tired. Yeah, it's almost. Oh, sorry, my piano's out of tune. Hi, Anne. Please write any comments, right? Or if you disagree, I love when people disagree with me about, especially rubato. So you have this feeling of this kind of seufzer, like sometimes it's dissonant, or sometimes it's just 2 notes that's creating that effect. Truly sing legato, no H's, yeah? One thing that in the last 2 days I worked a lot with my fantastic singer, she's so talented and she's going to sing such a gorgeous Pamina, is really working on like getting the consonants to spin, yeah? All the time. So don't be afraid of practicing on your voice consonants, especially the ones that, well, you find all of them a lot, yeah? In Italian, we do L, M, N, R, V, and then there are some other consonants that you get in French and so on. Here we are on V. It's so useful to get that the voice is really swinging. Wollen open, yeah? Yeah, little appoggiaturas. Allow the D's to not. No. Wir lieben. Let the appoggiatura always lean, let the dissonant always be a little longer. Liebelein. So then, when she sings again on the next page, page 71, right? What does Mozart do? He fills in the notes, passing tones. Is the original, and he writes lower and upper neighbors. Yeah, so it's a nice tiny little example of Mozart ornamenting himself. I don't think I have any other thoughts here. Yeah, so in tom pom pom pa dee 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 dee, how is that varied? By putting appoggiaturas. Mozart and the appoggiatura, you know, all great composers, and dissonance, yeah? They understand dissonance. They understand what dissonance brings. Appoggiatura. Ja, nichts edles frei. New harmony note. Mann und Weib und Mann und Weib. Oder Mann und Weib. Yeah, nothing here. Just to make sure that you don't like break. Mann und Weib. Yeah, too short. Mann und Weib und Weib und Mann. Yeah. So get behind the idea of the music. Not just be like, oh, it's a staccato and it's short. Yeah. What is that emotionally? Pom, 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 pom. Staccatos in slower music always longer than in fast music, right? Did I just make up that rule, or is the rule? Yeah. Now, again, you see the orchestra comes to a grinding halt on this E flat 6 chord. Right? And Mozart is writing a kind of cadential, beautiful linkage. It's not really a cadenza, right? It's not a 6/4 or a dominant 7, but it's like a melisma with that starts with a turn, a scale. And he writes the same thing. What could you do? Instead of coming down that, you could come down a scale, yeah? Yeah, would be a nice way to vary that. Great. Simple duet, but beautiful. Next time we see her is on page 92. And schnelle Füße, rascher Mut, yeah? So, again, clearly rhythmic music without big rubati. Schnelle Füße, rascher Mut. Yeah, it would be weird to like, just because we say like a singer can be free doesn't mean like you are free every time, right? You have to see like what kind of music it is. This is simple, fun music with Papageno. This is not a huge like emotional moment. Schnelle Füße, rascher Mut, schnelle Füße. Yeah, shit von. I was like 2 notes. Schnelle Füße. I was like, could there be an appoggiatura there? But it's hard to imagine yet because schnelle Füße, rascher Mut. Füße is like all one idea. Schätz verfreundes ist und wo. This is what in the pa, yeah, the escape tone, échappé in French, yeah, so often gets like little H's. Schätz von Freundes ist und wo. No. Ja, keep legato. Ist und Wut, von der Pamina doch sonst I love this moment. Yeah, you can imagine, not just I conduct with this hand. If I do and I just go through, but what if I make this syncopation work by making it longer? Yeah, tiny little moments where we can find more interesting shape. Right. Why? Because so that it's not yeah, to get behind Mozart's idea of why is it the accompaniment different. Again, so much appoggiatura. Yeah. I would have to go and really look at Cimarosa and other people from the time, but I think Mozart just wrote more dissonance in his music than many of like his contemporaries, who are maybe not as I don't know, heavenly as he is. Yeah, we have this like beautiful accompaniment, right, which is going to keep moving along. Welche Freude, written as a small note, page bar 248 on page 93. It's long because it's an appoggiatura. Welche Freude, and it's also in the orchestra. Yeah, the orchestra plays the same rhythm. Here, I don't think I have anything to say. Rubato, of course, yeah, because what's the other big reason we do rubato also in bel canto is to show the construction of the form, right? This construct of the form. So we have here, hier kommt der yeah, should have rubato to return to this. Yeah, and you see how it helps us with the orchestration. Easy enough. Speeding up, going into the allegro. Ach, nun lässt das Mund vorbei. Nothing to say here. Page 100. It's like by Menon, right? Same kind of almost simplistic yet beautiful. Yeah, you see this? Always these kinds of like little Seufzer, we call them in the Baroque era. And I think, we use that term every time when something is sighing like this. Brave Mann, soll da du dann finden, deine Freunde die. Yeah, I don't just think, werden dann, no, werden dann, pretty, yeah? It's like he's begging us to like bring freedom to his music. Rest. Yeah, what I hate in music is if I feel like a conductor or an orchestra clicking just a rest in their mind without understanding that rest is setting up something new. When we have, this has come to a close. I remember being a child and being told, like, why are you slowing down? Or, the piece isn't finished yet or something. People would say things like that. Or, it's just one rest. Go on to, yeah. But it's not true, right? It's not true. Because the music does end. Then it starts again with a new idea, a new accompanying figure, yeah, new musical idea. I didn't ornament it 2 days ago. I will sing to my singer, what could you do here ohne sie in der besten Harmonie? Yeah, very simple. You could just fill in and come back to the Harmonie in der besten Harmonie. I don't know, something, yeah, because it's a bar 337 and 338, direct repeat of 335 and 6. I could imagine that maybe that in Mozart's time somebody might have sung something more florid here, yeah. In der besten. Wait. Yeah. So how as a singer can you inspire that is what you want to do? Not to sing harmony, harmony, exactly in tempo. Besten Harmonie. Yeah, you sing it a little slower, let it go a little slower. And like, oh, maestro, I want to have a little moment. Yeah, it's interesting, right? If you think about a time where there was no conductor, the singer would have had to have all of these ideas, right? Because there was nobody that was going to tell the singer, this is how it's going to go, this is going to be the tempo, this is where we're going to make the rubato. It was kind of all the singer's thoughts to bring to the score and the imagination of the music. Oh, now here he writes. How he puts a pause there, right? Now people are like, well, you didn't put a pause on bar 342. Okay, but maybe it was like, anybody can imagine that this has to have a little moment, yeah? Just because people write forte somewhere and piano somewhere, and then other places they don't write forte and piano, it doesn't mean that you don't have to choose a dynamic. Yeah, just because people write a pause somewhere once in like 100 pages doesn't mean that there is no pause. There are no pauses anywhere else. Yeah, and then it ends again. Was soll das bedeuten? Ich zittere, ich bebe. Oh Freund, nun ist uns. Now, maybe my imagination like sometimes takes me too far, but can we see how with the archi, with the strings playing bassoon, different little sensation, different little tempo, tiny little bit different tempo. If I wonder if I can imagine. Yeah, just by not going not the same rhythm. Oh, wäre ich ein Haus, wie wollte ich verstecken? Now, restive, mein Kind. 3. Was werden wir nun sprechen? By this point, the music has had to have come to a completely different thing. This music cannot go, was kocht in mein Haus, mein Kind? So fast, yeah, it's got to like come to a close, because what's going to happen? For Pamina. Werde noch versprechen, appoggiatura, ja, bar 366 for Papageno. Werde noch versprechen, und nun sprechen. The big moment. Die Wahrheit. He's not writing adagio, but how can we not imagine it? Die Wahrheit sei sie auch Verbrechen, yeah? With big moment, the topic of the opera, truth, die Wahrheit, then pom 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 pom, yeah, classic subdominant, dominant, tonic, always kind of like bringing a section to a close, and it does, right? And new music starts with new idea. Pamina comes back on 105. Oh my God, this music, y'all, really. What does it start with? Who knows what the tempo is at the beginning of this larghetto? Nobody knows, because the orchestra plays. Right? That is just two big chords with the classic pa-pom, pa-pom. Please, not pa-pom, pa-pa, pa-pa. There is no energy in that beat. Oh my God. One of my friends was told at like a big institution to feel like the energy in the rest. I'm like, this is crazy. Energy is in the music, right? Like this can still have energy, pop-pom, pop-pom, but just beating through in time kind of allows us not to feel the statuesque moment. Then Pamina, as far as I'm concerned, as long as she wants to, not as long as she wants to sing, because it might be crazy. But if this feeling, after the orchestra, sorry, bring the orchestra when the voice ends. Ich bin zwar Verbrecherin. We still don't know really what the tempo is. We're searching. Ich wollte deiner Macht entfliehen. Allein die Schuld ist nicht an mir, der böse Moor. Yeah, now we're feeling like the all of a sudden we see a rhythm in the orchestra is like moving us forward. So der böse Moor, prosodic. Now der böse Moor, appoggiatura. Liebe Portamento, darum entfloh dich dir, steht auf, erheitere dich, free. Okay, I'm not here to talk about Sarastro, but one could say a lot about all of that. Then, when he comes to the end of his solo, we have the return of this idea. Ich rufe dir, full quarter appoggiatura. Die Kindesfliegt. Now what happens? Meine Mutter free steht in meiner Macht. Pam 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 pam. Wait. New music. It's like 15 things have happened already. It's like, I said to my singer the other day, a friend of mine used to say, Wolf starts one song and then ends another. Mozart, sometimes every 4 bars, 2 bars can be in a different thing based on like the emotion of the singer, the text, yeah? We don't have to just like imagine it. He has imagined it for us. But if we make the music feel that it's all in the same tempo, we are missing this, yeah? How gorgeous is this? Und ein stolzes Vibe Rhythm. Ein mountain. Yeah, again. Oh, Sarastro. I could talk about this whole opera forever. Okay, then we are in page 109. Sie ist Sarastro, unsere Herr. Sorry, 1. Ist's, sie ist's. Ich glaub es kaum. Yeah, not es glaub es kaum. Now, I can barely believe it. Es glaub es kaum. Sie ist's, es ist kein Traum. No, you don't have to overdo it. Yeah, you don't have to overdo it. You can just do a little. Can do more if you feel it in the moment. Jam Party, ja. Es schlägt mein Arm sich ihn her. You see how the music is moving along? Yeah, and so on. Gorgeous. Long break for Pamina with so much amazing music. We should have like a magic flute, a bel canto, magic flute, yeah. I said it's going to come out sounding bad, but I still think that we have so much to say today about Mozart, because so much of Mozart was performed and recorded in such a kind of dry, rhythmic, driven way that did not give Mozart his central place in the bel canto era. That, I mean, you could even say the person who like really inspired like the kind of conclusion of the bel canto in so many ways. Yeah, there's a lot for us to imagine still about him. It's not all on YouTube when it comes to Mozart. Okay, page 159. You know in Baronreiter that it tells you, right, where the next place is the singer sings after the, right? So the next thing is Ach ich fühl's, which I'm not going to talk about because I will just give you that link to the time I did talk about it. As I said, it was a long time ago, but I think I spoke about it in detail. Sing your consonants, commit air to the unvoiced consonants. Ach, ich fühl's. I think I talked about the breath and all of those things in it. So we'll skip to the end of Ach, ich fühl's. And the next thing is 164, which is Soll ich dich teure hard tempo this always for me, because it's andante moderato in cut time. 1, 2. The harmonic rhythm is kind of slow. You see, when you look at the music, you look at page 164, you look at page 165, 166. Now, it's not that there is no rubato here, but it's not to the same extent because the orchestra is lilting along, yeah? So now, in these days, you could probably do more rubato because if somebody's going to make a huge thing. But this music, a huge gesture in the pit to kind of make everybody go slow together. But from an organic perspective, from a singer's perspective, this is lilting along. Du wirst dem Tode nicht entgehen. Maybe it's too fast. Yeah, you see how often he notates the appoggiatura? Page 166. Yeah, I do feel rubato. Yeah, we feel that this is yeah, makes a little moment. Yeah, and the classic yeah, and so on. Here's another moment where you can feel this kind of like pause moving. Page 167, when Sarastro sings, Die Stunde schlägt nun wie, instead of pum pum paradum. Also, when sometimes singers sing and like they count with the breath, and we hear we hear that second beat, and we lose with oboes and bassoon. Die Stunde schlägt, free Tommy, a little fugue. See, the orchestra has stopped. The orchestra has stopped. No, it's not going to be Tom. But it's not. Right, which is the tempo we've been in. More time. Nun löst dich wirklich fort. So many appoggiaturas. Nun muss fort, nun muss fort, nun muss ich. Yeah, beautiful. Takes care of itself. Pami. Yeah, again, bar 50, 51. Almost imagining. Nun muss so muss ich fort. Pami. A tiny little hiatus. Pamina, this takes care of it. Yeah, again, tiny little, always placing at the end of a section before a new section. Die Stunde, oh, goldene Ruhe, close, oh, open, oh, next to each other, beautiful. Oh, goldene Ruhe, die Stunde, oh, goldene Ruhe, die Stunde. he does that in every opera. It's in Don Giovanni. It's in the in Not City Figaro. You feel this moment, yeah. And you see what happens in the orchestra, right? Very simple. So that if the singers need a little more shape time, they have it. And then easy to catch up. Not in tempo. No. Because as we discovered yesterday when we were or the day before when we worked on it, it's almost like the music stops there, right? And then comes the coda, which is so amazing. What's this? Coda. New tempo, new idea. Yeah, nobody any longer is feeling this. We're reading the music for what it is. Oh, gorgeous. 185. Is this the scene that I'm the most excited about? Oh my God, yes. Oh, this is the scene with the Knaben. I'm telling you, when I was working on it yesterday, I was just, holy God. I've known this opera for so many years, and every time I look at it, I feel like I see more. I get more invitation from Mozart to like be freer, right? So we start with this. Which in itself is like a miracle, right? Just like the motion of the strings with the intervals and the voice, yeah. Yeah, and you see how also this is not no. Right, so that when the rhythmic idea comes, right, that's when we feel tick, 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 and it keeps ticking. Ist den Wahnsinn Geduld, mein Traum. No longer tick, tick, tick. If it keeps ticking, it's not. We don't feel the difference. Geduld, mein Trauter, ich bin dein, bald werden wir vermählet sein. Yeah, so that we have im Tom, Tom, Tom. Geduld, mein Traum. You feel how the music hangs on this dissonance. Bald werden wir vermählet sein. Bald werden wir vermählet. Pam, 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 sorry. Pam, pam, pam. Sorry, yeah, I'm so used to working this way around. I'm really turned around. So in 4, maybe wait, in 2. Why is that important for a singer? Because you don't want to think 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, because that gives too much impetus to music that is more like a chorale. Sie uns an, and see how that can bring you to a close. All this Mädchen. 6, 4, 5, always rubato 1. Sterben will ich, and back we are to this click. So we are always looking for the moments to break the click, just like in Rossini. Rossini comes just after this, just like in Rossini. Und ich want dich in den hang. Let's call it a silent 4th beat. Click. Dum, bum, 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 bum. Keep clicking. Stop clicking. Ya, di, 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 yum, pum, pum, pum. Now, you see we are in recitative. Yeah, this is recitative music, yeah. And it's set up by this chord that is stopping. Liebe durch des Hirten sterben, als du, and as I said to my singer, do not rush in bar 76. Take your time. Liebe durch dich Hirten sterben, als, put an appoggiatura, take a breath. The orchestra's not playing. Ain't nobody going to rush you here. Liebe durch des Eisen sterben, als durch die Papa, Papa, des Gram verderben. Mutter, Mutter, ich leide dich und dein Fluch verfolgt mich. I go really slow. Und dein Fluch verfolget, und dein Fluch verfolget mich. Der Fluch verfolget mich. Und dein Fluch verfolget mich. Mädchen, willst du mit uns gehen? Ja, das ja. And you see then, so then these scenes that otherwise just kind of tick along like metronomes in our heads are, it needs this break. It needs to break it up. We see the texture of the music. We hear the harmony. We hear the modulation, and we understand like the dramatic impulse of what is happening in the scene. This is the genius of Mozart. This is the genius of Mozart, I think. Falsche Jüngling, liebewohl, sie Pamina stirbt. Let it go, wait for it. Yum papa, yum pa, dum pa, amazing music, yeah? Allow the music to come to an end. Dieses pam, 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 6-4-5-3 is a thing. I mean, it's not going to the one, it's going to interrupt, yeah? Interrupted cadence for dum, pam, pam, pam. Now, 1. Sollte die pam, 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 party, pa, easy for the Knaben. Da, di, di, da, da, dum, pam, 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 pam. Was erfüllte den Allee? You see how Pamina has more breathing space with the orchestration, giving her more time to go. Fühlte Gegenliebe und verbarg mir seine Triebe, wandte sein Gesicht von mir. Warum sprach nicht mit mir? Yeah, so that she has that time after. That's not her music. Fühlte dein Geliebe. No, different. Fühlte dein Geliebe und verbarg mich seine Triebe. Yeah, so pam, pa, di, 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 da, dum, dum, da, di, di, di. Reset. Warum sprach nicht mit mir? Diese Muster, more flowing fork into the Knaben. Where do we go? Page 192. Kommen war, führt mich hin, nur mächtig sein. Ja, Paul, this is going to drive Tom. Now it all comes together in this. Zwei Herzen, die von Leben kann men pampa papa. You see how this is music that happens in the rest, because there's music in the rest. Yeah, when there's not music in the rest, there's not music in the rest. But zwei Herzen, die von Leben. Amazing. Verloren ist this is pretty. If that note is beautiful, give this flowers a tiny moment before you bring. Deshalb schützen Sie into chest, and the rest of that I think is easier. Schützen Sie. Simple coda, yeah? Schützen Sie. I don't know if you want to do something else at the end. Okay, I need to move on. Oh, it makes me so excited. So here we again. So this is the scene with Tamino. Tamino, halt. Ich muss dich sehen. So not in the same tempo as Tamino. Yeah, here has Ich wage froh dein grünen Lauf. Tamino, halt. Ich muss dich. Was hör ich, Pamina? Oh my God. Here it is again. Music in the rest. That is moving the music forward. The way we too often want to do when there is no music in the rest. If there is no music in the rest, let the rest rest. I mean, are there exceptions? Sure, I'm sure. But in general, ask yourself, yeah, how genius is Mozart to propel the music by putting music in the rest of the singer? Was hör ich, Paminenstimme, ja, dam, parim, pam, paridi, das What would Mozart be without an appoggiatura? What would life be without an appoggiatura? What would life be without a little drama of dissonance? I'm sorry again about the flat keys are terrible for out-of-tune pianos. Here again, it's not. Ist mir erlaubt. Yeah, which one could imagine is very free. But look, there's music in the rest. Ist mir erlaubt, mit ihr zu sprechen. Ist erlaubt, mit ihr zu sprechen. Yeah, we're in a simple Ist für dich. Pause by Mozart. Und ich not this. Und wird eingeweiht. Ist wir, no. Und eingeweiht. Ist, oh, that was bad. How would one do that? Ist würdig. Und eingeweiht. Ist würdig. It's hard, yeah? It's easy to do after scheut. Ist würdig. Und ist würdig. You have to practice conducting that. If one wants to conduct it. Yeah. Always imagine Imagine the appoggiatura, the portamento with a new note. Tom, papa. Then put tom. Completely free. We do not know what is andante until we do what? Until we see what looks like a solid tempo, and that is this. Right, that looks like a tempo. Before that does not look like a tempo. Same for the tenor. If it was my show, if I was Tamino, I would be like, please let it really stop. Horn. Now. Now starts the music. If we feel that beat before that, that moment is not magical. Who can imagine that it can be so magical? We've already arrived at the F major chord and now we're going to play F major again. If you're in tempo, it's not magical. But if this is the end of you are mine, oh what happiness, and we've arrived at it and a horn has entered, and now pizzicato. Die Schrecken fort out the wazoo. So they always lean, yeah? It's not pum, 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 Orchestra stops. Sie mag den Weg mit Rosenstrahlen, weil Rosen stets bei Dornen strahlen. Yeah. Free. I want to tell you how free, like the how you, but I'm just telling you, Mozart is giving you freedom. Take it. Breath. Don't rush, yeah? Please don't rush the singer. Why? What is this? 6/4 dominant. Yeah. Always look for your 6/4s, 4/5/3s, right? They are showing, they are saying like, now we are in C major. And enjoy experience and a new motion. Eine Tagesstunde, mein Vater, sie aus tiefstem Grunde. Always interesting to me, right? Because it's really like speech-like, but written in the tempo, very much tempo. Yeah. You see how the tremolo is keeping you free. Strings. Und spiel die Flöte an. I would sing a full quarter, but then simple. Yeah, theme created around the appoggiatura. Lower appoggiatura, upper appoggiatura. Breathe. Yeah, breathe, breathe, breathe. Allow it to breathe. Again, is it harder for the orchestra? Yes, but the amount of concentration in the feeling of the shape of the phrase will pay off 1,000-fold because they will be in it to win it. Yeah, does it happen again? Let it wait. Don't count. Don't count. Rallentando. Yeah, always rallentando there. Never just in tempo. Okay, we're almost done. Wir wandelten durch Feuersgluten. I think this is easy. I mean, it's not easy to sing, but it's hard for Tamino. This is like a reason to really be organized in your passaggio, yeah? Very hard for Taminos. More. And that happens twice, and then it's over. And that's the end of her on page 210. So many other things still have to happen, but that is then. Oh, I'm so glad you enjoyed that. Yeah, I hope that you're inspired to look at all of your Mozart this way, right? Where is Mozart talking to you from the grave? Why did he have to write that way? Because it was voice driven. People always say, oh, Mozart is writes so instrumentally for the voice. I don't get it at all. I just don't get it, unless you like never ornament. You never understand when something looks, or like, you know, De vieni non tardar is instrumental. Yeah, because people do not ornament it. Yeah, because if you just sing the skeleton, it seems very very bare and, I don't know, instrumental. But so he writes in this way. They all write in this way. Yeah, Rossini does exactly the same. You can still, all the way to Verdi. Okay, in the time of Verdi starts to be conductors, and we know that early Verdi operas were still performed without conductors, and then the later ones had conductors. But all of the music written to be performed without conductors and just with like somebody on the keyboard, a violinist, and like a continuo group, right? Everybody, the whole band kind of was knit around that core, right? The kernel of the orchestra was like the continuo group and the concertmaster, and that is like what made that music happen in a kind of chamber way with the singers on stage. So this very long, hour-long thing was kind of to try and explore from a basically short role, right? If you compare Pamina to Susanna, unbelievable amount of singing she has to do, right? So it is possible to do like an entire role and be like, where are you searching for the freedom? Where do you want to inspire the rubato? Okay, it took me a little time to like get going, because as I say, I was turned around because the sun is just pouring in my apartment, even though it's very, very cold in New York. Okay, I loved seeing you all. Who knows when I will be inspired to do this again. For better or worse, the inspiration for these always have to come like from a session that I do with somebody, and I'm like, oh my God, it would be so like fun, or maybe hopefully useful, like to talk to people I know and respect about it, and to create conversation. Yeah, people write me about these videos all the time, asking me. You can write me privately to ask me things about it, either on Bel Canto Bootcamp or on my side, on my Instagram. And you can also comment in public. I don't mind if you disagree. You can be like, Rochelle Young is out of her mind. Nobody can do Mozart with this much rubato. It's ridiculous. It makes it too romantic. Or, you know, I'm here for all your comments. Like, knock it out of the park. Okay. It's Super Bowl weekend in the States, and this is, as I say, my yearly time when I pretend that I know anything about football, which I don't. But I'm going to watch the halftime show. Go Bad Bunny. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.